Now, even though the Black Rose Dragon popping out is technically the hardest one you could possibly do because there is no real outlining of the actual card, this is the easiest to buy the products that you need to do it. All you really need is a red Sharpie and a black Sharpie. Nothing else other than the actual physical card. Now, the biggest thing that people do actually have trouble with is when they do it, they take the Black Rose and do the wings a little too large. Now, the main thing when you're doing a Black Rose is you have to make sure that you follow the design of the card. If you start making the wings too big, nobody's going to like it because it's going to look completely and utterly garbage. So the main thing is keep within the lines. Now, what you're going to start off first is the red Sharpie. The red Sharpie is going to be your base color. Everything in this card is red and black. So if you start off with the red, you can correct anything that you mess up on with the black marker. So the first thing that I always do is number one, clear all space. Clear as much of the space as possible so you have a lot of space to work and you don't accidentally knock something or push something which could possibly ruin your perfectly good card. Now, a lot of people say this is ruining cards, but I don't think so. So the first thing you're going to do is color in the red. Now, I'm not going to show you all of the coloring the red because it's a lot of the same thing over and over again. Now, for the actual wings, you don't really need to do all that well. My suggestion, do a little bit of an outline first, then color it in. Now, the best part about doing red first, once again, is, as you can see, I don't know if you guys can see, but I have gone over the lines because of the thickness of the marker. You can get extra thin Sharpies, but you know what? You're not going to want to color in an entire thing with an extra thin Sharpie marker. So you continue on until you're absolutely done. Once again, being as careful as you possibly can, but you know, mistakes do happen, but that's why we have the black marker, which is our outline, at the end. So let's continue on, show you what's going on. Make sure you get all those little tiny bits and continue on. Now, I'm not going to show you the entire thing because that's just going to take too long. The next thing after you're done filling it in will come in 3, 2, 1. So there you have it. You've got that done. You've colored in all of the entire Black Rose red. The next thing that I suggest you to do is finish off the wings. A lot of people start doing the rose petals, but you know what? If you start doing the rose petals and you forget one piece to fill it in with black, it's going to look like garbage. So, you know what? Finish the wings first because that's what most people are going to recognize. So, you're going to start off. Now, Black Wings go up this way and actually go down slightly that way. So, make sure that you recognize where the wings are going, because if you don't, it's going to be real bad, because it'll look horrible. It's not going to look like a popping out card. It's going to look like you have no artistic talent whatsoever and you haven't actually looked at the card. So of course you're going to go out, and my suggestion is make the technical wing span, but you're going to fill this in with black later, so it's not going to really make a difference right now. So I've made the first wing. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, if you continue to watch this video, I'm probably not even going to do that exact spot as where my black marks are going to go. Now, one other thing to recognize is every single wing feather goes up and then down. And then it starts again and goes up. And of course you go off the page, so you don't have to worry about the down so much. Okay? Now down here, this is where it starts to go downwards. Okay, you see that? And then of course you get the one down here where it goes outwards. Okay? So everything in here is going to be covered. So you don't have to worry about making, like I said, the outlines right now, because you're going to make that with your black marker. Okay? Now the number one thing that I found when I was working on these, put something underneath. You're going to ruin your parents' perfectly good table, a tablecloth, something, and nobody likes to get screamed at by their parents. I know I sure don't. Usually I do this up actually on my art table, but I got to do it in front of a camera, so it's not going to really work out. Now, if you actually look at this, it looks like garbage. There's no emphasis on the wings, so it looks kind of crap. But once again, using your artistic ability to see into the future is the only reason that we're able to do this as fast as I can. So once again, this one comes out ever so slightly. And this one goes up into a point and then goes out. My suggestion is actually do your coloring in one solid line. Don't scribble like this, or else it's going to look really bad in the end. Now the main reason why we're filling things in now is so the red has a chance to dry before I touch it with the black. Because if I touch it with the black right now, it's just going to smudge. When it smudges, it looks bad. When it looks bad, guess what? You just ruined a perfectly good Black Rose Dragon. Now the one thing that we have to be concerned about when doing these kind of cards is you cannot touch the stars. You cannot touch the emblem up on the top, any of the wording, and any of the wording down here. So you can pass over the wording, like I'm going to be showing you very shortly. So once that's all done, you're going to then take your marker and fill in the little dots. So you just start doing tiny little brush strokes with your marker. And 3, 2, 1. And there you have it. You've got all little red dots all over the place. All the feathers are popping out. Or, well, really it's black rose petals. Now the main thing that I have to say is no actual black rose petal is completely just a tiny little line or a tiny dot. A lot of them curve. A lot of them have weird different angles, all that kind of stuff. So don't just put dots all over your paper or all over your card. It's not going to look good. Now, that's it for the red marker. That's all we need to do. The next is actually the hard part, because this is the most intricate work. My suggestion is actually using a thin tipped marker. Now these ones are available all over the place. They're called extra fine. This is fine. This sort of large bit is fine. It comes to a point almost like a ballpoint pen. However, this one looks more like a lead pencil. The tiny, tiny, tiny marker is just really, really good with this kind of intricate work. Now, the biggest thing about this marker is the extra fine tends to be extra pain in the butt. Because when you color over something, the red gets mixed in with the black and it doesn't come anymore. Now, if that does happen, you gotta just scratch a little doodle on another piece of paper and then continue on. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of the feathers on the actual body of the black rose, and then I'm going to do the feathers up here and the circulars around there. Now, once again, the filling in what is already made for you isn't difficult at all. But it's this part that is the most difficult part, because you have to do a lot of guesswork. This makes every single Black Rose Dragon completely unique, because not every single feather is going to be exactly the same on every single person's Black Rose Dragon. So I'm going to start off by coloring in his inside. See, once again, my small felt tip, little tiny marker isn't really doing much black. So we take this, throw it aside, and use the big honkin' one. This one takes a little bit more practice, so I would suggest practicing on other cards first. But as you can see, if you practice for a long enough time, this doesn't take very long. My first ever Black Rose took me at least 20-25 minutes. Because I didn't want to screw up. Because that's a perfectly waste, not a good one, of a Black Rose Dragon. So that's what you're going to do. Is you're going to fill out pretty much everything that's black on the card. Don't worry about shading. Shading's a little more intermediate to expert kind of thing. So don't worry about shading at this point. Now remember, follow the artistic guidelines of the actual card. Okay? Don't get fancy. Don't worry about making your card look special. Just do the work like it should be. Now the main thing that you have to remember is these feathers link up, okay? They start out overlapping each other. So you have to do it in a line down the way it goes. Okay? Once again, remember where it starts to turn into a different direction. Because if you don't, it's not going to look as good as it should. Okay? And once you're done all that, it's going to be a simple situation of 3, 2, 1. And there you have it, guys. That's what you get. Now, of course, you're going to circle all these little tiny things, but I'm not going to show you that because I'm pretty sure you can figure that one out. Now, the very last thing that you have to realize is there's vines coming out of Black Rose Dragon. So, in order to do those vines, remember, you color them in. But remember the little tiny spindles that come out of there. And don't forget, this is not a straight spine. So curve it out. Okay? Make sure that you curve it out, or else it's going to look like garbage. If I continued all the way along here, that would have looked horrible. But now it's all spindly. Make sure that you add the little thorn pieces. Once you get good, then worry about doing special things. But until then, do this. This is the best way to do it. That's what I want you guys to do, is take your time with it until you're good, then go fast. Then try and create it quickly. Then try and do harder things like Black Rose Dragon popping out, because you need a lot of artistic sense in order to figure out where the wing placement is supposed to be. So make sure that you figure it out. Look at the way that my wings have gone. Okay? Notice how it's not one little tiny wing. It's a whole bunch of black. Okay? And make sure that you use proper Sharpie markers. Don't try and use pen. You're going to ruin it with pen. Okay? Once you get into the higher levels, you can start using Sharpie paint markers, which will pretty much write on anything.